What happens when one of the most talked about AI breakthroughs of the week comes not from a closed Silicon Valley lab, but from an open model out of China? Welcome to the Automated Daily Tech News Edition, the podcast created by Generative AI. It's July 27th, 2026. I'm Trent Teller, and today we're looking at a shifting AI power map, a staggering new wave of infrastructure spending, and why the next big computer might sit on your face, your wrist, or your shirt. This episode is brought to you by SurveyMonkey. Don't just know what happened, know why. SurveyMonkey can help you unlock insights by combining feedback with operational data to get vital context. Find the link in the episode notes. We'll start with the AI model race, where Moonshot AI's new Kimi K3 has grabbed attention in a big way. Early benchmark results suggest it can outperform leading systems from Anthropic and OpenAI in some areas, and the key point is that it is expected to be released as an open-weight model. That matters because it puts more pressure on closed, paid AI services and adds another chapter to the growing competition between US and Chinese AI firms. It also lands at a moment when prominent tech leaders are publicly backing open-weight AI, arguing that broader access helps innovation, security, and competition. That debate over openness got another push from the launch of the Open Secure AI Alliance, backed by NVIDIA and several major tech companies. The timing is notable. Supporters of open models say defenders need systems they can inspect and run on their own infrastructure, especially in security incidents. Put together, these stories show that the argument over AI is no longer just about who has the smartest chatbot. It's increasingly about who controls the tools, who gets access to them, and whether openness becomes a strategic advantage rather than a risk. Meanwhile, the scale of AI spending keeps getting harder to ignore. Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta are reportedly lining up more than $500 billion in capital spending for 2026, largely aimed at AI infrastructure. Add Microsoft's plans and the broader number climbs even higher. NVIDIA remains the clearest beneficiary because so much of that money still flows toward the chips that power modern data centers. But investors are starting to ask a tougher question: how much of this build-out will actually produce durable returns? And NVIDIA may be doing more than just selling hardware. Reports say it is discussing financing support tied to OpenAI's massive Ohio data center project, a development that shows how AI infrastructure is starting to resemble heavy industry as much as software. The message here is simple. The AI boom is no longer just about better models. It's about power, land, financing, and the ability to sustain huge long-term bets. On the consumer side, AI is also moving closer to the body. A new generation of wearables, including smart glasses, wristbands, and clip-on recorders, is being pitched as a way to remember conversations, capture tasks, and provide help in real time. In practice, they can be useful, but they also seem socially awkward, and more importantly, they create a serious consent problem. Unlike a phone, these devices are easy to miss, which means people nearby may not realize they are being recorded or analyzed. That privacy issue is the bigger story. If AI wearables spread widely, everyday interactions could start to feel more surveilled, especially in workplaces, social settings, or any place where discretion matters. There is also the problem of context. AI assistants can draw the wrong conclusions from what they hear, turning casual conversations into strangely personal summaries or flawed assumptions. So while tech companies clearly see wearables as a possible successor to the smartphone, the social rules around them are nowhere near settled. Behind the scenes, there's also a less glamorous AI economy taking shape: fraud. A new threat report describes a large gray market of relay services that resell access to major AI models at steep discounts, often using stolen, leaked, or pooled credentials. This is not a loose collection of hobbyists. It appears to be a fairly mature ecosystem, with middlemen, account pools, consumer-facing gateways, and even promotional tactics to attract buyers. Why does that matter? Because it suggests AI access abuse is becoming industrialized. Providers are not just dealing with a few freeloaders. They are dealing with a shadow distribution network that can drive fraud, chargebacks, and what researchers call denial of wallet attacks, where usage is burned simply to create cost. It is a reminder that the economics of AI are now important enough to support their own black and gray markets. In chips, one of the biggest moves came from China, where memory maker CXMT soared in its Shanghai debut. The company jumped sharply on its first day of trading and quickly became one of the most valuable firms on a mainland Chinese exchange. Investors are treating it as a major national asset in China's effort to strengthen its semiconductor industry despite export controls and supply chain pressure. The significance goes beyond one stock. Memory chips are crucial to the AI hardware stack, and CXMT is now being watched as one of China's strongest hopes for reducing reliance on foreign technology. It still trails top competitors abroad, but the scale of investor enthusiasm shows just how central semiconductors have become to national strategy as well as market speculation. In biotech, there were two encouraging signs that gene editing is getting both smarter and more useful. One research team used a modified AlphaFold approach to identify which parts of CRISPR proteins are linked to off-target edits, then design changes that sharply reduce those unwanted effects while keeping normal performance. In plain English, that could help make gene editing safer, which is one of the biggest barriers to broader medical use. A separate study focused on prostate cancer and found a CRISPR-based RNA approach that made tumors more visible to the immune system in mice, which in turn made immunotherapy work better. It's early, but both results point in the same direction. AI-guided biology and precision editing are starting to move from theory toward more practical, medically relevant advances. In transportation, Waymo and Uber may be heading toward a more open split. Reports say Waymo plans to offer rides through its own app in Austin and Atlanta, even where Uber currently helps distribute the service. If that happens, it would signal a deeper competitive break in robotaxis, with each side trying to control the customer relationship rather than just the vehicles or software. And finally, in space, SpaceX's latest Starship test flight delivered mixed but meaningful progress. The booster was lost during landing, but the ship itself completed its best re-entry yet, deployed upgraded Starlink satellites, and splashed down in one piece. That matters because re-entry and reuse are the whole game for Starship. SpaceX still has work to do, but this looked like a genuine step closer to practical operations rather than just another spectacular test. One more story to close on. Tesla's latest earnings call included unusually direct hints that Tesla and SpaceX could eventually merge. Elon Musk and Tesla's legal team described the two companies as increasingly intertwined, with shared work spanning robotics, AI, manufacturing, and Starlink connectivity. Nothing is official, but the language sounded less like casual overlap and more like groundwork for a future corporate move. If that happens, investors would be looking at one giant bundle of capital-intensive bets under a single roof, which is either a bold long-term vision or a very concentrated way to buy uncertainty. Thanks to our sponsor, Stock MVP. Stock MVP helps you invest like the pros using data-driven insights. Find the link in the episode notes. That's the roundup for today. The big theme across these stories is that AI is no longer confined to software demos. It's reshaping infrastructure, devices, security, biotech, and even corporate structure. Thanks for listening to the Automated Daily Tech News Edition. I'm Trent Teller, and I'll be back tomorrow with more.